Hey guys, it's Luke the SurvivorDude, and I'll be showing you guys how to make a natural quiver for like your arrows. So there's lots of things you can use. You can use like different types of barks and like sticks and stuff, but also the video I learned is from the guy who used river cane. So I can't get any river cane around here, but what I can get is some cattail. So you can see, so all I did was chop down a couple cattail with the little hot dog on the top. Those are the ones you want because they actually have the stalk. So all you do, chop it off, peel away all the leaves, and then it has, if you cut away the bottom, you can see there's a central core, and that's surrounded by a whole bunch of like really kind of foamy kind of stuff. So you just want to peel that away with your knife and you'll be left with this. This then I let sit for a couple days to dry. I already made a quiver, but it was almost actually easier, I thought, to make it with almost a bit moist, because then it's easier to like form and stuff. But then when it has time to dry, then it shrinks and stuff, and then you get some loose spots. So I'm just gonna try each way. So there's two main components you'll need for making your quiver. First is you'll need whole bunch of your like ridge poles. So these you want to be your thickest pieces, and you'll need an odd number. You don't want like 4 or 6 or 8 or anything. You want like 7 or 9. On my one I made earlier I used 7, but this time I'm going to try to use 9, because if it's odd, then when you weave, the weave doesn't go the same way. It alternates each time you go around, so the whole thing's held tightly together. So I've got 4 of these cattail poles. What I'm going to do, get my knife and just split it down the center. Try to split it as best as I can. It really does kind of twist a bit. That's just how cattail are. It's not a big deal. Once you get it going, when you start weaving around, you can just twist them a bit, then weave around, and it straightens right out. So I'm gonna split these, but I've got 4, which will act as 8, and I just need 1 more. So what I do, I've measured these. My arrows are about 3/4 of the length, and then I've got this much extra. I've got a bit for the end, and also quite a lot for the bottom. So, and a bit extra, because it's always better to have extra than too little. Also, what you can do if you have, cattail doesn't work that well because it gets thick to really narrow quite quickly. So that's why river cane would obviously work. But this, if you have long, like equal diameter pieces that can equal the length of like 2 of these put together, then what you can do is just cut the length of not like a half, but 2 and 1. Then all you're going to do is fold up the edges and you have 2. But I can't do this with cattail, so the bottom is going to be a little more difficult because you have more ends, but it's not something we can't handle. So what you're going to do, get your knife, put it right in the middle, watch your fingers, just get it started, and then I'm just going to grab ends and just get it going. There you go, see how it splits all the way down. So there, we have 2. It gets a bit thinner on the one, but it's not a big deal. It's just, we just want to make sure that doesn't separate before the end, because or else then we could have quite a mess. So I'm going to get myself a couple more of these, and then I'll cut my weavers. Okay, now for my weavers, what's left of my cattail, after I've chopped off the end for my ridge poles, I'm going to try to cut this into quarters as best I can. The pieces are going to be a whole different length and stuff, but you're going to try to get it as far down as you can, because it starts to narrow off on one side and just split off. So you're going to start splitting. Try to keep it in the center as far down. You see it goes off to the side. And then you'd want to split this into a quarter again, but it's not going to split very well at all. So I split it in the center still into a quarter, but it splits off to the side, like, see it like before halfway down. But then this is the piece you want. There's a whole bunch of kind of like foamy stuff in the center, and you just put that on your leg, shave it off, and then just a whole bunch of crap and stuff. So then I kind of shaved that one in half, but you're going to keep working that down and get some nice big ones out of a couple of these, nice long ones. And then you want them to be as thin as possible and try to get them as flexible as possible. When they're wet, they'll be much more flexible, but when they're dry, you'll get them flexible when you boil them and stuff to make them more pliable so you can make your basket or quiver. So I'm going to get myself a bunch of these, put them in a pot, then stick them on the stove. Okay, so here's all my cattail little weavers. Cut them all up. I put a little water on them because they were completely dried out, and it would be a little difficult to get these in here without snapping completely if they weren't moistened a bit. You can see they bend quite sharply, but they don't completely break off. So I'll just add some water in here, get these boiled up nice and hot, and like the longer they're soaked and boiled, the easier they'll be to weave with. So I'm gonna go probably 3/4 of the way up, and then whatever I have left, I'll just add some dye, and then I'll have some dyed weavers, so maybe like some red, so that'll give it some more effect. So just gonna get this on, and then we can go from there. Okay, so what you can see is all I've done is put them all together in the center, and I'm thinned out the little areas where they're gonna fold, so they're all gonna fold with there without snapping. And all I did was made a loop. I'm using twine because I'm not using the weavers I made with the cattail. They can't, because they need to twist while they're flat, like around, but they can't do that very well, like at all. So I'm using twine. You're supposed to use raw hide, but twine I find works best for me. I don't have any raw hide, so all I made was a loop on one end of my twine, slipped it over the end of one of my ridge poles, and all I started doing was going under and over each one, and really trying to squeeze it into the center. So I've gone around a couple times, but you gotta get it as tight as you can, because the bottom is what really holds it together in the beginning. So, okay. So, now you can see I've got it enough that when I let it go, it stays in its spot. So now, what we're gonna try to do is lift it up. So, a technique that I use is I just get a small piece of twine, lift them all up and group them together at the top so they stay up. You can put like a jar in the center to get your right width, but I made the little bend notches so they should be all right. So, ooh, here we go. Okay, so I've gone around and I bent them up and I just weaved in back and forth just around a bunch of times, you can see, and I've just put it in the jar just to show the shape that it's kind of going to be in, or else if I don't have the jar, they're all going to be kind of like inwards and all together, bunched together. So this is obviously not your final shape. This is just to hold them all in place. Like I said, raw hide would probably be a much better option, but once you get this done, once you start the actual weaving with your weavers, it just goes really nicely and quickly. So I just left this hanging because later what I can do is just wrap a whole bunch of twine over and just pull it tight to make it look nice and neat at the bottom. So okay, so I just finished wrapping up the bottom just so it all stays in one kind of bundle, and then I just kind of let it settle for the night, even though twine doesn't really settle much. But I just like to leave it before I start the actual weaving, just so, because the bottom you need to have nice and tight and secure if you want to have success with the rest of your weaving. So all I did is, see, I just put a little kind of squeegee-ish thing inside there just to hold its shape. Okay, so you can see now I've got my pot of my weavers all boiled up, still steaming away. So what I like to do, I just leave them in here so they can still keep soaking while I'm weaving, but I'll take one out because the water's hot. This one isn't very long. What you want to do here is you want to weave, you want to keep weaving a specific way, so I'll go this way and weave around this way. So what you want to do is to start off any one, you want the end to be under, so then that locks it into place. So see what I do, I put it under, you gotta push it down as far as you can, then I hold it, then I lift it up, under, pull it through, push it down. So then see, there you go, you've got one little weave, and you're just going to keep going around and around, and I'll just finish off this one because there's not very much with this weaver, but I'll just keep going around and around and show you how to just end it and start a new one. Okay, so I've gone around just a couple times. It's obviously the bottom's going to be a little bit messy because it's all still kind of falling all over the place, but you just want to squeeze them down as far as you can and just trying to get them. Don't do it super tight or else it'll make your quiver kind of go inwards on a slant because there's no room for it to like go out. Now see, if I fold it over it, this is the one I want it to be under, but it goes a bit past. So you can see there's the edge. So what I'm going to do, grab my knife, and you just want to cut it off just at the end of that one so there's not a lot sticking past. So now you can see there it is, and it folds, and it's just like at the end of this one right here. So, and all you do, take it, push it up, and then down. That locks it into place, and then you have one done. So I'm just going to go ahead, do a bunch more. Okay, and remember to just push them down there as far as you can. Okay, so that it's about 3/4, I would say. Excuse me. I might cut off a little bit of the top depending on how long my arrows are, but that's pretty good because they're really kind of dark right now, but when they dry, they'll be like as light as that. So that's just as light as these at the top. So I ran out of my weavers because I underestimated how much I needed, because for the other one I only used 7 of these ridge poles, and I didn't, as you can see, it's slightly going outwards because see, I just put this tape in the end just to make sure they're outwards, and when I wrap them around it kind of stays in that position. So that's coming along really nicely. So I'm just going to cut some more of my weavers. I've got a bit more, and I'll dye them red, so I'll have this all tan, a section of red, and then I'll just do some more normal, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. So be right back. Okay, there it is. That's your entire quiver. Now just making it fancy, and we also have to just finish off the top, but there you go. See, I've got a place where I'm going to attach my rope, or my kind of just strap, and then strap it to my bottom. And I see on the top, what I've done, I've just snipped off all the upright ridge poles, what you're gonna do now, just to finish it off, again, you're supposed to use rawhide here, but I don't have rawhide, so I use twine. Just get some twine, and I'm gonna stick it. I'm gonna have it go over the top and down to right beside it. So make this go up. So what I'm gonna do inside, just leave that. Then I'm gonna go all the way around. And you go up over the top, trying to get it right over top of this ridge pole. And oh yeah, I've got quite a lot of string, but I'm gonna try to go as around many times as possible because this really is nice. It really finishes up nicely. So I'm gonna go over the top and out the bottom. Here's one, and I come out on the other side. I'm just gonna pull all of this twine through. And then we get up to the last bit. Oh, are you kidding me? Gotta pull it through. Make sure you don't get tangled. And then just pull it tight. And you see you're gonna pull it right over the top. So, and then you just keep going around and around until you've got the whole top pretty much nice and secure. And then you add your strap and you can add decorations. So I'm just gonna do the top, let this dry so you guys can hopefully see the color. And then I'll show you guys this when it's done. So I'll be back tomorrow quickly. So, okay, here it is. Completed. You see I've got that tied on, just a my little bunch, and then down at the bottom just tied some twine around the bottom because it's quite tight, and just around there. So let's put this over your shoulder, and you can see at the top I just wrapped, there's all the cord going around holding it in, but then I just wrapped all around with twine just to finish it up, and just, I don't know, just kind of more for aesthetics. And I did that same with the bottom. But then you can also wrap around, like have some of like feathers. You can hang some feathers off of here, little beads and stuff if you want. Here is my first one I made. It's this one only has, I only made 7 upright poles, and you can see at the top I did much less. I've got only a couple little wraps, but it's my first one, so you'd learn from how many you do and stuff. And if you have only 7, you can't make it very big at the top. You can see just like the size difference of both of them. You can see how this one over here kind of expands more. So, but these will both work well. So, and then I've got all my arrows that I made with all my arrowheads. Watch the video, my video on how to make arrowheads if you want to see how to do that. But I've got all these, so okay, here it is over my shoulder. I have it quite tight. I like it nice and tight because then it's nice and up by the top, so I don't need to reach far to get my arrows. And all I did, I just shoved a bit of newspaper in the bottom, so or else my arrows, they'd only be sticking out a little bit, but now there's quite a bit, and if I wanted them to be in more, I can just take it out. So it's nice, easy, right there. So I really like this. It's hard, really kind of hard to start it, to get the bottom all together, but once you get it done, it's really nice. So thanks for watching. See ya.